This is Witch Nikki. And remember, we're going to finish our book today, The Gruesome Green Witch, by Patricia Coffin, and illustrated by Peter Parnell. Here's the witch I wanted to show you right here. And this is her back in a reflection in the mirror. For whatever reason, that's like that. I don't know. Just part of the story. And I'd like to welcome you today, Aiden, Kaylee, Kennedy, Ginger, River, Jordan, Rihanna, Kayleen, and Julia, and my good friend Jessie too. Hello to you all. And right here I have Raggedy Ann, Annie, Raggedy Ann, and Raggedy Andy. They're brother and sister. And that's a story. I think I did buy a book for Ginger sometime, so I'll look around for that. That's kind of a cute little story about the two brother and sister dolls. And my friend Jessie sent that to me a little while back ago. And now, in one of the parts or chapters that I read of this book, The Gruesome Green Witch, one of the videos, I had put up a poll for you to vote which one of these books that you wanted me to read next. And so far, nobody's answered it, not even put comments in the comment section. So I think this will be the next one, because this book is about India, some people in India, and a little girl. And from what I remember in this book, she's blind, and she lives in a kingdom. She's a princess, and somehow she meets this tiger. But we'll go into that when I read it next time. The reason why I'm going with that is because it still stays with the theme of being a children's book. And on this channel, I want to read children's books. So I'll be picking out a lot of children's books from time to time. Sometimes they'll be silly, sometimes a little weird, strange, fun. They'll always have some kind of adventure. But I like to pick out books one or two books that I could read in a half an hour. And I want to thank you all so much for being here when you are here. And if you can, hit subscribe and be one of my subscribers. But I don't win any prizes or anything like that if you do become one of mine. It just shows me and encourages me and validates what I'm doing here. I like to know that this is a little half an hour of my day that I'm spending, even if it was just with River and just for Ginger, who does seem to like this. Ginger laughs at some of the things I do and some of the things we say and whatever on here when we watch it back. But River, I don't get to see his reactions because he's all the way over in Tennessee. And the other kids here, I don't really get to see them either, but I've known that they've been watching from time to time, I guess. So I'd like to get started with this one, and we'll finish it off. And there does seem to be a couple of pictures that I'll show you, but they're all the same kind of drawing pictures, but they're very pretty, I think. Puffin is decorated. Now that could mean a couple of things, being decorated. Sometimes they decorate a police officer or a fire chief or somebody who's outstanding in the community with a little medal that they give them for honoring them for being outstanding and doing a great job, that kind of decorated. Or a military person. Now, I don't mention the dates on here very much, but this weekend coming up is going to be Veterans Day, and we remember all the veterans that have given their service to the United States military. And to all of those men and women throughout the United States. So that's what Veterans Day is about. So this kind of decorated might be like that, but also decorated could be like, putting a flower in your hair, or I don't know, painting your nails. See, I paint my nails, I decorate them with color and things like that. Wearing earrings, those kind of decorations, necklace and stuff like that. So I want to start reading now. Puffin is decorated. Remember that she went in to save Matt, who is her brother, and he was captured and turned into stone. And she made the spell, the potion for the Green Witch to drink, and then the Green Witch had to grant her, helping all those other statues come back to life. So that's where we left. Okie dokie. Puffin and Matt ran and ran and ran, and as they ran, the rest of the forest seemed to be running with them. Not the trees, they stood still, but squirrels and mice and rabbits raced along with them. Birds and butterflies threw in streamers over their heads, and all sorts of characters kept popping out from behind bushes and joining the race. Alice with the White Rabbit, Pinocchio, the Wizard of Oz, Toad of Toad Hall in the great big old sports car that made a frightful noise. The lion with a witch seated on his back galloped ahead of them, and Humpty Dumpty came panting along, crying, "Wait for me!" Mary Poppins sailed by, hanging onto her magic umbrella, and some mean-looking wolves from Willoughby Chase crashed along in the underbrush. It was a veritable who's who of one's childhood friends. See, now sometimes you can make friends inside books. Yes, they're fictional, but for the moment that you start reading or someone's reading to you, they feel like they're your friends. That's why I like this book and all other books that I read when I was a child. So a lot of those characters I've read about too, because I saw them in this book and I said, oh, I know Alice in Wonderland. I know Pinocchio, and then I would say, oh, I'm going to go try that book out. I'm going to read that book next. See? Where are we going? Panted Matt. We are going back to the leafy tunnel to rescue Mole from Daddy and Mummy. Daddy's roaring around because he thinks you are off not studying somewhere. Huffed Puffin as Peter Pan brushed past them. Poor Mole, but everything's going to be all right when I deluge Dad with all the facts that I've learned. Where are the best of these creatures running to? The rest of these creatures running to? They soon found out. Just before the entrance to the leafy, ferny, furry tunnel lined with bluebells, where the bottomless pool and the blueberry bush stood, there was now a vast ring of creatures, sitting and standing and perching as though waiting for something to happen. The king of the forest is coming! The king of the forest is coming, whispered T, who was standing beside the blueberry bush. Just then Puffin noticed a shimmering among the pine trees. In the distance, she could see a whiteness approaching. Then out into the clearing stepped slowly, with dignity, clop, 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 an enormous unicorn. He lifted each pearly hoof like a horse on a parade, approaching with stately grace. His fine neck was curved, and he carried his crystal horn that spouted from his forehead, lowered like a lance. His hide was so white that it seemed to throw off a bit of light as a snowbank does at dusk. His mane and tail were a flowing silver. Next to him, something low and black moved, too black to be a shadow. His Biti Nor, I think would be how you pronounce it, whispered T. What's that? Asked Puffin, observing that the beast was a 4-footed furry thing about the size of a large pig. Most of us have Petit Nor, whether it shows or not, said T. Let me show you this picture because it has all the characters. There's Mary Poppins. I think that's Matt. Let me see. Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, Matt's running ahead with Puffin and Humpty Dumpty. All these friends from different books, different chapters. Almost like they're running out from the book, huh? Most of us have, I don't know how to pronounce this. How embarrassing. But I think it's French. Petit Nor, Nore, or Nor. I'd have to look it up. The next time we talk about it, I'll know, and I'll get it pronounced right. It is something that bothers you, but that you have to live with, like math. The king's petit nor is all, for all its shaggy blackness and clumsy dachshund walk, was somehow lovable. Mine is math, laughed Matt. Puffin's is brushing her teeth. Suddenly there was an awful roaring in the forest, and some black smoke could be seen rising from the clump of birch trees. I'll be a monkey's uncle, said T. Fafnir is coming to the conclave. Who is Fafnir? And what is a conclave? And who is your nephew? Rapid-fired Puffin. Ignoring the reference to his family, T reverted to his more formal manner. Lady, don't tell me you have never heard of Fafnir, the most famous dragon from the land of the Nibelungen. Fafnir emerged from the woods, belching flame and smoke and waving his huge scaly tail in the most dangerous manner. He was the size of a large trailer truck, not counting his tail. Down, Fafnir, said the king, as though addressing a dog. Sit. We need you to give blood today. Sit. Fafnir sat down on his hind legs and gave a great sigh, which caused clouds of steam to come pouring out of his nose and ears. Fellow creatures, said the king, tapping the ground 3 times with his mother-of-pearl hoof, I have called you together here today to honor the bravery of a human. There was a buzzing and a humming in the crowd as they turned to each other in amazement. Yes, said the unicorn, pointing his crystal horn right at Puffin. This girl child risked everything to save her brother from the Gruesome Green Witch. In fact, single-handedly she reduced the witch to a heap of helpless, horrible rags. A roar of applause rippled through the crowd. The cat with the hat almost lost his balance on the branch where he was perched trying to see Puffin. The cat on the hat. He was there too. The witch is gone. The witch is dead, they all cried. The Gruesome Green Witch is not dead, warned King Unicorn. But she is powerless. Unless some evil forces help her, she will remain so. Now, as you know, once a child reveals the magic force to anyone over 18, that child is banned from here forever. In this case, the little girl not only told her parents that she'd left her brother in the magic forest, but she brought her brother here on the verge of his 18th birthday. In fact, he's turning 18 right now. Puffin looked at Matt's wristwatch. It said 1:05. Good grief, double trouble with her parents. Then she looked at Matt's face. The puzzled look had gone from his eyes. His brows were stern. He seemed to have gained stature. He smiled calmly at Puffin and put his arm around her shoulder. So let me stop there for a short moment to show you the unicorn and the Petit Noir. See, it almost looks like a porcupine or something. But there's the unicorn. Very beautiful. I'm in charge now, Pussycat, said Matt. I'll clear everything with Mummy and Dad. Hey, where did you get that cute freckle on the end of your nose? So this child must leave here at once, continued King Unicorn. But I am going to decorate her with a magic amulet, which she will wear around her neck on a silver chain, and which will permit her to visit the magic forest once a year on her birthday. She can do this until she has 2 children of her own. Then she must leave the forest to them. Come before me, my dear. Puffin stood before the noble creature, and he dropped a silver chain over her head. The amulet was an amethyst pale lavender, the color of the King Unicorn's eyes. And furthermore, he said, you may bathe in the dragon's blood so that you will be immune and protected from illness, accidents, and evil the rest of your human life. Wow. His Petit Noir brought out an old wooden tub and put it in front of Fafnir, who sighed some more, great steamy sighs, and finally lifted one of his scales, showing a deep gash. That is where Siegfried pierced him with his sword back in the days when Wanton was the god of the Germans and Rhine maidens lured young men to their death in the river, explained T. Black blood gushed forth into the bucket. It was thick, like treacle in English storybooks. Puffin was horrified. In the first place, she didn't want to step into the bucket of ghastly black goo. In the second place, she certainly did not want to get undressed in front of this crowd. Don't want to, don't have to, won't, she wailed. It was a cry of a 5-year-old girl she knew who uttered it, never approached by spoons of medicine. whenever approached by spoons of medicine. That sounds like somebody I used to know and still do. But anyways, I won't get off on that. Don't be a fool, hissed T. This will make you invulnerable. Puffin didn't know what that meant, but it sounded important. Besides, said T, you can wear the Tarnhelm and nobody will be able to see you. The Tarnhelm, a regular-looking helmet of somewhat tarnished silver, makes the wearer invisible. Siegfried wore it when he slew the dragon, which doesn't seem fair when you think of it. T put it on Puffin's head, and sure enough she disappeared. A gentleman wearing undershorts and an emperor's crown slapped his thigh and cried, "Good show!" "Here, take my hand. I can't see you," said T, and he led her over to the bucket of blood. Very reluctantly, Puffin took off her clothes and stepped into it. It felt like sinking into warm oatmeal. It was disgusting, but she liked it. After it was over, she put her clothes back on, and taking off the Tarnhelm, everybody clapped and said, "Hooray!" and "Congratulations!" and tried to shake her hand. "Just a minute," said T. The proud unicorn was cantering away slowly, making a glimmering through the trees. T drew Puffin behind a blueberry bush. He took out his teeny pocket knife and seized Puffin's hand. He made as though to cut her finger, but the knife glanced off her skin. You see what I mean now? You are invulnerable." Puffin was fascinated. Try as she might, she could not cut her finger. "Achilles was invulnerable too," continued T, "except for one spot on his heel. The same with Siegfried. A linden leaf dropped on his shoulder blade when he was bathing in the dragon's blood, and he remained vulnerable in that spot. If you have such a spot, watch it. Don't let on to your best friend. And now, goodbye. I'll catch up with you next June on your birthday. So long, Matt. Don't take it easy." Matt laughed and shook T's hand. Puffin felt sad, the way you do on the last day of camp, or loading the car to go home after a wonderful summer by the sea. You ever feel that way when you've had so much fun and then it's time to go home? Like maybe even at a park or something very fun? Yeah, it feels like, yay, this is so much fun, and then it's time to go home. Just then a silver sled flashed by. In it sat the Snow Queen, who sent icicle splinters into the hearts of little children. She was wrapped in a great white rug of polar bear fur. She leaned forward, peering at something she held in her hand, as though she were examining pearls. She was gone in a flash. A few icicles and a thin trail of red drops showed in the grass where she had passed. "Blood?" wondered Puffin. "What was she looking at in her hand?" asked Matt. T suddenly jumped clear over the blueberry bush. He went down on his hands and knees and smelled the trail as a bloodhound might. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," exclaimed T. "I smell the blood of an Englishman," and what she held in her hand were newt's eyes. "Good gosh, T," cried Matt, going pale. "Stop her! She's going to revive the Gruesome Green Witch! Stop her! Stop her!" Matt started to run after the sled. T made a flying tackle toward Matt's shirt tail. He hung from it, kicking Matt's legs. "Get out of here," he yelled. "You are out of bounds. Scram before the gruesome green witch revives. Go!" Puffin pulled Matt into the tunnel and led back to the green closet and the world of fathers and mothers and hot milk before bedtime. She saved Matt and she finished her homework. She knew things were going to be all right at home. It was high time they left. It gets spooky cold in the magic forest when you're no longer welcome. Matt gave a big shuddery shiver, although T's excited words still sounded in his ear. Puffin knew she had only to wait until her next birthday in June, when she could go back and be welcomed by her true friend and Tumpet. After that, there'd be only 10 more visits. But in the dim, distant future, her very own children would discover the leafy tunnel full of twiggy fir grass and bluebells and jewelweed and maidenhair fern and roots of trees. For she would be sure the green closet in her house. She would be sure to have a green closet in her house. They would not tell her about it because she would be a grown-up, and she would never let on that she knew why they wanted their privacy in the green room on the Saturday afternoons. The end. But it almost sounds like this writer could have written more. Don't you think? What would have happened to that witch? Did the Snow Witch or the Winter Witch get to her and revive her with the newt eyes? I don't know. I really don't know. I do not believe that Patricia Coffin ever continued this series, or it wasn't a series, it was just a one-time book for her. And I'm not really too sure about what the moral of the story is, what she thought, because everybody writes some kind of a moral of a story. But I think it was about friendship. And, you know, friendship, it can be between many different people. It could be between brother and sister. And they could help protect each other and help each other feel good about everything and protect each other, make funny times, happy times, stuff like that. And friendship could be with two people that just barely know each other or know each other for a long time. The longer you know somebody and the more stuff you go through with that person in your life, the more deeper your friendship is, and you are true friends. Well, this is Witch Nikki, and I want to thank you all for being with me during the Halloween series of stories. But I think now it's time to move on to different kind of stories. And we're going to do that the next time that I'm reading. It will be this book, Cinnamon. And that's a name. But do you all know what cinnamon is? It's a spice, and it's very good. It's one of my favorite things to put in my coffee sometimes. Well, I hope that you all have enjoyed this book and all the other books. Remember them? And I still want to encourage you all, Aiden, Kaylee, Kennedy, Ginger, River, Jordan, Rihanna, Kayleen, Julia, to create a monster and send it in to me. You can make one out of paper like I did, or draw it, or make clay. You can do anything you want with it, like Ginger did. She used an app to put over her face, but you could still see her eyes through it, so it looked like she had on that Cyclops, remember? Well, it's been really nice to read these Halloween stories, and I am going to continue with more children's stories, like this one, Cinnamon. That will be our next one. But this part of it that I started out with was Halloween. So next year on Halloween, I'll be telling different stories, maybe some of the same ones, maybe different ones. I'll do different ones. And that will be our year. 1 year of reading scary, Halloween stories from Halloween to Halloween. Let's just say that. Because even though I started before Halloween, right? Well, now, here we go. Let's see how we do. I'm going to be reading regular good old stories here. And thank you so much again. I love you all. Have a great day and a good weekend. I know some people, like Ginger, have today, the rest of today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, and then go back to school on Monday, I believe. So have a great day, and remember all of your veterans, all the veterans that have helped serve in the military.